let's not talk about the Trinity then, because that's
Okay, yeah,
let's
sure,
just talk
yeah.
about the foundations of. So what do you want, like, about leaving Islam, stuff like that? What made me leave, stuff like that?
Yeah. So I understand it's your personal
Which sounds
subjective
nice foundational,
experience,
because I don't like how I'm too
but
much.
like experience can also be something ongoing.
Yeah,
So you
subjective.
can
I agree with
always
you.
you can come to a more better like realization, like when you look back at your personal experience and have like a better understanding, like in hindsight.
Yeah.
So like Will's a Unitarian. You can try to. Why don't you get Will's number and see like maybe check out a Unitarian church,
Nah,
see what
but
Unitarians believe
for me,
in.
if the Trinity was real or not, man, I wouldn't. It doesn't really bother me, because what really matters is if Jesus Christ resurrected or not. And for me, if God was to exist, He would come down Himself, because us man cannot live a perfect example. So that's why I believe God had to come down as Jesus Christ to represent us, because we couldn't do it. We are all sinners. So this is why I believe like God had to come down as Jesus Christ to live the perfect example, so which we can follow, and which Jesus did. No sins.
Yeah,
Upon Him.
I mean, one is to do with like whether it makes rational sense, but another thing is like you can say I just believe it because that's what the Bible says
I
or
really
from
believe this is
history.
because I'm very, as you said, I was a Muslim first, and like I was obviously thinking about Unitarian beliefs as well, because that's like sometimes you think how can the Trinity make sense, but then like you look at all the Bible, you see obviously the word Trinity is not even there. Like, it's not like the word Tawheed. That's something that is that even in the Quran. But it's like the Trinity is not the word is not really there. But you see the concept coming through it, right? But that doesn't really matter as a Christian. I think the most fundamental of the belief is believing in the resurrection of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I
and
agree.
then believe in His word, which is true. You know what I mean? And I believe that Jesus Christ was God. Yes. And like, do I hate Unitarians? No. I still accept them. I still love them.
Unitarians, I think they also believe in the resurrection as well.
They believe in the
That do the
resurrection, but
roles.
they have a real different belief on some of them are Jehovah's Witnesses.
I see.
And they have a lot of weird beliefs on the resurrection. So at the same time they believe that Jesus will come in their watchtower, in their offices, headquarters in America. But
Not all Unitarians are Jehovah's Witnesses, by the way.
Most
Yeah.
of them are Jehovah's Witnesses. But yeah, as I said with Islam as well. Now going to Islam, the reason why I wouldn't be able to be Muhammad, because like he said he had revelations when he was in the cave of Hira. But when he was in that cave of Hira, like the angels, first of all, the angel came to him, pressed him, in which you couldn't believe. So how can you trust? How do you know if that really was an angel or a demon? Because it came to him 3 times and pressed him till he couldn't breathe. I don't see any accounts of an angel coming to somebody and pressing them till they couldn't breathe.
Have you read the Quran?
I read the Quran in Arabic. I read some parts in
English,
yeah.
I see. So in the Quran, Satan is someone who's cursed and who's condemned. So the Quran tells you not to follow in the footsteps of Satan. Satan basically invites you to your destruction, but whereas God is inviting you towards His forgiveness and mercy.
Okay,
The Quran says to do good to the travelers, to look after the orphans, to do justice, to look after the widows, and to fight for those who are oppressed. The Quran also says, had God not driven one set of people by means of another, then the synagogues and the churches and the monasteries and the mosques, wherein God's name is remembered much, would have been demolished. So the Quran speaks about religious freedom, speaks about there's no compulsion in religion.
I get what you're saying
So
there.
this doesn't sound like a
No, I get what
satanic.
you say there, but Satan comes to an angel of light. So Satan will do tricks to deceive you, thinking this is good, this is the correct religion. So he's going to say some things in there to think that it's a good idea. You know what I mean? Like even in the music industry, Satan pretends it's good. So, you'll have all this fame. This will be good, but deep down there is a deception. And with religion as well, like if Satan's not going to say, oh, like, come and follow me, you'll have all, it's going to be bad for you. He's going to say some good things so you come to it. And to make it sound like it's truth. And even back in the days, people were doubting Muhammad, saying this is a Satan who told you this. Then the Satan gave Muhammad another revelation, saying, no, it is not me. It is not me. It's Allah who's giving you this revelation. You can see Satan was kind of like, like scared, because people were coming to knowledge that this was Satan. So Satan had to give Muhammad another revelation. You know, and he's so hesitant to make Muhammad believe.
Have you seen the movie The Message? It was like a Hollywood movie done on. So you know, like there's Hollywood movies of Jesus.
Yes.
There was one Hollywood movie that was done of the Prophet. It's called The Message. It stars Anthony Quinn. It's on YouTube. So basically, it shows you like what Arabia was like before Islam.
Yeah.
So the Arabs, they were like stooped in sin and in idolatry and in alcoholism and in other bad stuff like gambling. So they were already in hell, like metaphorically. So why would Satan try to go to them and lead them astray
Nah, 'cause
if they're already astray?
That's what I'm saying. Satan does do tricks. He plays a lot of tricks, and within these people, these pagans pretty much never believed in Jesus Christ. You know what I mean?
So do you know who believed in the God of Abraham before Islam?
The Jewish people, right?
Exactly.
So these people didn't believe
So
that Jesus Christ.
Satan would want to go to those Jewish people
Yeah.
and try to mislead them
He's
astray,
going to do many tricks because Islam
such
was
as
rising.
worshipping
'Cause
another god.
Islam was
besides-
rising in them days, right? It was rising, it's going ahead, it's flying. So Satan probably allowed Muhammad to attack them in order to bring Islam ahead, which is why the 360 idols they were destroyed. And then Muhammad, what did he do later on? He allowed the black box and the black stone to go in place. And that made a lot of people go
What's
to
the black box?
The Kaaba.
Oh, okay.
That made a lot of people in Saudi Arabia at the time go to the Kaaba and do worship, which is more bad than the the other pagans what they were doing.
Kaaba's just a mosque, so you can you can go inside
Yeah.
and pray inside the mosque. So
I think
it's
from-
like the Temple of Solomon.
I think from my perspective on the Kaaba, obviously the Kaaba's a black box, and you're right. It can be like any black box. You know what I mean? They're not like they might not be worshipping it. They might.
It's not any box, but it's the location
Yeah.
that Abraham built the mosque
But
for
there's
worship
no
of God.
historical proof that Abraham did build it, right?
I mean that's a separate question. I mean, can maybe make mention in the Bible may allude to it
But
like in
as I was saying,
Psalms.
but with the Kaaba, right? So the reason why I see it as idolatry is because when I went there, right? When I went there, this is my experience. I'll just tell you my experience. You can just tell me, So a lot of people there, they were going around it 7 times doing twice, and they were shouting words called Allahumma labbaik, Allahumma labbaik, right?
Yeah, that means oh Allah, I am
Yeah, they were
here.
saying these chants, right? And it's like the Hare Krishnas. The Hare Krishnas in their religion, they do the same thing. They chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. But in reality, these words have no effect to the heart. No matter how you say it, you're just saying it. You're not doing it from the heart. It's not a real relationship with God. And these people would just say these words and it will not have any effect. It's just words. It's just
You should believe in religion out of sincerity and devotion. Like you shouldn't do it just because you happen to be born into that religion, and you shouldn't memorize words in parrot fashion. But you try to understand, what you're reciting and to whom you're praying to, and why do you pray or worship that person.
But even Safa and Marwa, when I saw Safa and Marwa, you know Safa and Marwa is?
Yeah.
When I saw that happening as well, when people go up and down, it just seems like an occult to me. Because I've seen Hare Krishnas, and it's so similar to Islam when they would go up and down chanting names.
That particular
It seems very
story
cultish.
is mentioned in Genesis 21, where Hagar, when she ran out of water, and so God opened her eye to a well of water. So that's understood to refer to the Zamzam water,
Zamzam water,
which is present
Ismail's
today.
came out.
Yeah. So God names him Ishmael because God heard Hagar's prayer, and God says to her to arise and lift up the sun.
Yeah.
And I believe I don't remember the full verse, but I think it says to the effect that I will make him into a great nation. So great nation means that they will believe in the same God of Abraham.
But even in the Quran, in Surah 355, it says how the disciples of Christ will be superior to everybody else. And these disciples of Christ preached about Jesus Christ's crucifixion and resurrection. And there's no doubt in history about that. So if these people
Do you know the context of that verse?
Yeah, it's trying to say about these disciples of Christ, they're superior to everybody else.
Yeah, it's mentioned in comparison to those that disbelieved in Jesus. So Quran says some believed in him and others rejected him. So those that believed in Jesus, didn't reject him, even if they had warped beliefs about him, they will be superior to those that rejected or disbelieved. And we see that today.
But surely
There's
they
more
can't-
people
Surely
today.
they can't be superior if they're preaching a false doctrine according to the Quran. Because they were preaching about what they saw, the resurrection and crucifixion. So if they are superior, surely they can't be superior if they're preaching false doctrine. Because the Bible will tell, the Bible says there's been many false prophets and to not listen to them. So
Yeah,
if these
yeah.
are false, why would Allah say they're superior?
But it also says to judge them by their fruits.
And that's what it says in the Bible.
Yeah, so if there was no more prophet to come after Jesus, then Jesus wouldn't have given this acid test to judge them or test them by their fruits. So it means that there was to be at least one more true prophet.
Do you believe Muhammad was a true prophet?
Yeah, I believe he was the one who was prophesied by Jesus as the Son of Man and also
Son
as
of
the
Man.
Paraclete. Yeah.
The Son of Man, that prophecy was fulfilled when Jesus says, I am the Son of Man. Because, he says that I am the Son of Man.
Where?
I can't remember the words. I'm not on the internet. But if you type in Google, Jesus says, I am the Son of Man, it will come up.
Because when Jesus speaks about the Son of Man, like at his trial, he speaks about the Son of Man is to come. He hasn't yet arrived,
No, he
but
says
he will.
No, he talks about it. I think he says.
He doesn't say, I am the Son of Man, but he says, and you will see the Son of Man coming. Not that you will see the Son of Man returning in the clouds, but you will see him coming. So meaning he hasn't yet arrived, but...
Yeah, so when it says the second coming, right? So obviously the priests, they came to him and they were like questioning him, who are you, this and this, right? And Jesus then later on he says, from now on you will see me sitting at the right hand of the Father, come down.
It doesn't say that in Mark's Gospel.
Yeah,
but in Luke he says, from now on you will see the Son
so
of
he's
Man.
not saying at the current time, but so he's trying to say about the resurrection, how Christ will come down in second coming to people. And even the Quran, you believe Jesus will come down.
Yeah, but that's not mentioned in the Quran, but strictly speaking, it's like in the Hadith.
Yeah, still mentioned Hadith.
But you know, Mark's is like the earliest of the four Gospels to be written, so it's closer to the time of Jesus. So what it preserves is closer, like in memory. So Mark has it that Jesus prophesies the coming of the Son of Man, whereas Luke has it that the Son of Man is Jesus.
It is, yeah.
So the story's been changed, like from Mark to Luke.
Imagine these were eyewitnesses, right? And they were also gathering events from people that they heard.
Yeah.
So obviously, like, imagine like you had an event that happened, like a car crash. There's gonna be many people who's gonna say different things, but the story still lines up. The message, that word is still there. That saying was still there.
Yeah, and Mark's not collecting information, but he's using Mark.
Mark wasn't a disciple. Mark was using Peter.
Yeah.
So Mark was using the Apostle Peter's narrative and what he saw. You know what I mean? So obviously,
and then Luke used Mark to write his own gospel, but Luke changed what Mark wrote by having the Son of Man become Jesus.
No, but the Son of Man, everybody knows Jesus.
So I'll show you what I'm speaking about. So you know in Mark chapter 14, Jesus prophesies the coming of the Son of Man.
Yeah.
It's in Mark chapter 14, I think it's verse 62. So he said, and Jesus says, I am, and you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand, coming with the clouds. Yeah.
So what that means, he is saying he is the Son of Man, and he is saying you will see him seated at the right hand of the Father. Meaning, when the resurrection comes, right, you will literally see him. He is going to be the one. He is the truth.
So in Mark 14:62, he says, "I am the Christ, the Son of the Blessed." They ask him, "Are you the Christ, the Son of the Blessed?" He says, "I am." And then he goes on to speak about the Son of Man coming.
There's many prophecies. There's many prophecies attributes to him. There's one in the book of Zechariah. There's a prophecy to him.
Yeah. So here he's prophesying about the coming of the Son of Man.
There's one called the Son of Man in the book of Daniel. That's what he's on about. And he is the Son of Man which came down.
Well, he doesn't say he's the Son of Man in that particular
that's
place.
Him saying, that's literally him affirming that he's the Son of Man.
He says, "I am the Christ, the Son of the Blessed."
No, he said that, and you will see the Son of Man come to the right hand of the Father, which is talking to him. He is the Son of Man.
He's speaking about the Son of Man rather than speaking about himself.
No, but if you knew how Jesus speaks,
in the third person.
No, but Jesus spoke a lot like that. Like even when he spoke to the Pharisees, they were saying to him like, they were saying, "Are you the?"
Look, here's the same saying. They ask him, "Are you the Christ?" And he says, "Are you?" If you are the Christ, tell us, and so on. And then Jesus said, "But from now on, the Son of Man shall be seated at the right hand." So he's no longer prophesying about the Son of Man to come, but he's saying that from now on, the Son of Man is seated at the right hand.
No, he's not saying at this current. Jesus spoke a lot about the future. So, for example, how he said a verse like say, where he says like, "Where two or three are gathered, there I am in the midst of them."
Yeah.
I mean, that's him talking about when he's going
Paul
to heaven.
says the same thing about himself as well.
He will be on earth. And when Jesus said, "From now on you will see me sitting at the right hand of the Father," he's talking about the future. That everybody will see him as sitting at the right hand of the Father, come to judge the nations.
Well, he's speaking of the present. He's not speaking about the future.
He is talking about the future.
But from now on, the Son of Man shall be seated.
Jesus he's speaking figures of language. He's speaking very.
But you know the story's been changed from Mark's Gospel to Luke's Gospel.
You get Luke's Gospel.
So I'll show you because in. I'll just show you side by side.
Because remember, these are different writers. They have different writing styles as well.
So look. Mark says, "I am, and you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of power, coming with the power from the clouds of heaven." Whereas Luke says, but from now on, the Son of Man shall be seated at the right hand.
Yeah, they're so similar. That's nothing wrong with that, brother. They're so similar.
Well, here Mark is saying the Son of Man is coming with the clouds,
Yes.
whereas in Luke he's no longer coming, he's already here
Okay.
in the person of Jesus.
Yeah, but the Son of Man is still sitting at the right hand of the Father. He's still there. He's still seeing him there. You still see him there, right?
Well, it says
He's
you
still at the
will
right hand
see
of
the
the Father, though.
seated at the right hand, coming with the clouds.
Okay.
So he's coming, whereas in Luke he's already here, he's no longer coming.
Yeah, because if you look at Luke's writings, back in the days, they had something called they're writing in like manuscripts, right? And their writings like something called they're on like animal skins or leaves. And there was not much. There was in that time there was not enough to write on it, which is why Luke had to summarize a lot of things. And the other Gospels they summarized it as well. So there's going to be different narratives and different stories. I told you it's like a car accident. There's going to be many different. It's going to be one event, but there's going to be many people telling different stories from what they saw, what they heard.
What if there's like 10-15 year gap between the witnesses? So if like the earliest witness probably has the more original story than compared to the witness that came 10 years later and retold the same story.
Obviously one person.
So do you know this saying like in Mark 8:38? Jesus says, whoever is ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous sinful generation, so the Son of Man be ashamed.
So Luke might have been summarizing the story,
Yeah.
and then you have Mark who might be writing in full depth. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing repeating.
But in Mark, when Jesus speaks about the Son of Man, he speaks of him in the future to come, whereas in Luke, the Son of Man is already present, like in the person of Jesus. So the story changes, like Jesus becomes the Son of Man.
Mark puts an addition into it because he might have heard something that Luke didn't. You know what I mean? It's just
Because in the Quran, Jesus prophesies the coming of another messenger after him in Surah 61.
Becomes a true prophet, right?
Well, we say the Quran is the messenger of Allah.
Matthew,
now.
very shortly.
Okay.
Which scholar doubted the zombie story in Matthew? There is a scholar,
Mike Licona.
Michael Licona.
So you know how he said Muhammad was a true prophet. We were talking about that, but I didn't really bring into it. But the reason why I believe how Jesus cannot have preached about him is if you look in the Old Testament in the book of Deuteronomy, it says that a false prophet will not have any source presented upon them, right? And then let me.
Where does it say that in Deuteronomy?
It says in
I actually break my fast.
okay. But here's the thing.
I mean,
right?
you're welcome to come and join us.
But here it says like
You said Deuteronomy chapter 18.
I can't remember what it says, but here it says like it's basically saying magic will not be done upon any false prophets. And then here it says in Sahih Bukhari 5765, magic was worked upon Allah's messenger so that he used to think that he has sexual relations with his wives while he actually had not. So
Yes.
Muhammad here was
So
hallucinating.
those narrations
he has sex with 9 wives. So if he's
contradict the
hallucinating
Quran.
here, how can you trust his other revelations?
So-
If he's hallucinating or not?
Have you heard of someone called Mufti Abu Layth?
I don't know. No.
So he's done like a commentary on this particular hadith, and he basically concludes that they're not authentic.
Sahih Bukhari is very authentic because I see a lot of Muslims, right?
Yeah, so
when
there's
something goes against
generally,
when
yeah.
something goes along their scriptures, they just deny it because they.
So have
'cause
you
they
heard of
refuse them.
Imam Shafi?
I didn't really listen to Imam because I see
So
a lot.
Shafi was before Bukhari.
Yeah.
So he said after the Quran, the Muwatta from Malik is the most authentic book. So which hadith collection? This is like a scholarly debate. Because Bukhari
Bukhari was very.
is
All scholars agree with
gen-
it. Even like people even come here
Not
like Muhammad
necessarily.
Hijab, they agree with it as well.
Some scholars say the Muwatta from Malik is more authentic than Bukhari. But you have to take each hadith on a case-by-case individual basis. But check out Mufti Abu Layth. He's done like a series on.
But I don't know, man. I feel like even Muhammad when he says his aorta was cut off.
But you know
what I mean?
what the Quran says is those that place their trust upon Allah, Satan has no power or no authority over them.
Yeah.
So the Quran is like contemporaneous to Muhammad. It's a collection of what the Prophet preached. So the Quran preaches that Satan has no power or authority over the believers.
Yeah, but obviously Satan's known as the father of lies. So Satan does tell a lot of lies. And I believe Satan was the author of the Quran, given his revelations to Muhammad. So obviously Satan's going to be telling lies.
So what
I
is
wouldn't
the
believe
job
Satan
of Satan? Like
to
Satan,
kill, to kill, steal, and destroy. And if you knew how Satan
But
works,
what
how
is
he
the
will-
purpose of him killing and destroying? It's so that a person ends up breaking the commandments of God.
Yeah,
Like
and
that thou
Muhammad-
shalt not
yeah,
murder
but that's
or
what
thou shalt not kill.
Yeah, Muhammad never did. Muhammad, like you can see, he tried to commit suicide.
'Cause,
He beat his wife up.
Again, that's not in the
Jihad.
Quran. That's not in.
Surah Full Faithful. It says to beat your wife up. And
No, it doesn't. It doesn't address the husband. Like the husband's not mentioned in Surah 4, verse 34. In the Bible, it actually mentions that you can beat your child with a rod. And in the Bible, it makes mention that you can sell your daughter to slavery. So that
you need to
more
realize
sounds
the,
like
the Old Testament.
it
compared to-
says you can beat your female
but the
slave
Old-
with a
you need to
rod.
realize the Old Testament, right, has been we have been freed from it. But in the
Yeah,
Quran,
but
you
isn't
have
that,
not
isn't
freed
that
us.
Jesus in the Old Testament?
Yeah.
Like, do you believe Jesus is God?
Yes, the
So
reason-
Jesus gave those
But
laws
I-
according
yeah,
to
but
you.
Jesus- the reason why
So
Jesus
you
gave-
end up
no,
making
no,
like
Jesus gave these laws. Jesus gave
Satan.
these laws and he freed us from it. But Muhammad, he never freed us from it. You're still now in this age of society. You're still stuck in slavery.
So-
you're still stuck in woman beating.
As a
You're
Christian,
still
are you
stuck in all
allowed
these
to?
things.
Are you allowed to commit adultery? Are you allowed to commit murder?
What does Jesus say? Kill not, love your enemies.
Yeah. So you're
know what I
still
mean?
you still have to
He's
follow the
fulfilled
law. You still
No,
have
no,
to obey
Jesus
the law.
have not come to abolish the law, but to fulfill all the law.
Exactly.
And,
So
now he's given us a new law to love our neighbor as ourselves and to love our God with our mind, heart, and soul. That's the
Yeah,
new law that's
so
given to us.
the
and
Quran-
loving God includes not killing people, because Jesus said in the mountains, he said he gave all these commandments, and to
Yeah. So
forgive
in
your
Surah
enemies.
4, the Quran
To turn the
says,
other cheek.
"Do not kill one another."
Yes, but
So
your
why
Quran-
would
your-
Satan say, "Do not kill one another"?
I told you before, Satan is gonna do some tricks in there to pretend to kind of like lure you.
How do
lure
you know
away
then
from knowing
that?
that's the truth or not.
How do you know that the New Testament then isn't satanic?
It's satanic.
I don't believe that, but how do you
Because I read it,
try?
and there's
Because
pretty much- if you look at
if
Jesus-
if the New Testament says the same thing as the Quran,
No, Je-
then
if-
how do you know Satan's not
Because
tricking you?
if you look at the New Testament compared to the Quran, these people witnessed an event that happened, and that was and these church fathers as well, these historians pretty much attested to
So
this.
there's no-
These church
Sorry.
fathers pretty much attested to these disciples as well. So we know this was a historical event. Then you have a man who comes 600 years later, who never saw this event and says Jesus Christ never crucified, but it made to appear that he was
There's
crucified.
no eyewitnesses to the crucifixion in the New Testament.
Well, we have John. John was a good disciple. Yes, John and Mary.
But Gospel of John's not written by John.
Because it says there that this book was written by the apostle whom Jesus loved the most, in which we know
doesn't say
it
apostle.
was John. Yes.
How do you know it's John?
And also we know it was John because
It doesn't. John doesn't say John wrote John.
No, also we know it was John, right? Because John was known as the disciple in the Bible as the disciple whom Jesus loved the most.
Yeah, but how do you know that?
It said because Jesus then goes on to say that the disciple whom I love the most wrote this.
But
wrote
that
this.
disciple isn't named. You're just assuming
No, it
it's
is
John.
Because even these church fathers, such as Polycarp was a disciple of Jesus, of John.
Yeah, but
And
Polycarp
attested to John's
never
words.
quotes John.
He does. I'll give you his word right now. I'll give you his words right now, but I just say something.
Sorry about the cameras, but because the problem with the cameras is it takes out the sincerity or genuinity of the conversation.
That's fair enough.
You're just more conscious about like how you look on camera.
Yeah. I don't really like that. No, it's alright.
Yeah, hopefully next time we can speak off camera.
Yeah, but Polycarp.
But Polycarp never quotes the Gospel of John. He quotes the other Gospels, but he doesn't quote John's Gospel, which is one of the reasons why scholars doubt the attestation that John wrote John. And even the Gospel of John tells you that it wasn't written.
Here it is. And this was the words of Irenaeus, who knew Polycarp. And this is what
Yeah.
Irenaeus said. He says, I could tell you the place where the blessed Polycarp sat to preach the word of God. It is yet present to my mind with what gravity he everywhere came in and went out.
So that's Irenaeus speaking.
I'll still say so.
Yeah.
What was the sanctity of his deportment, the majesty of his countenance, and what was his holy exhortations to the people? I seem to hear him now relate how he conversed with John and many others who had seen Jesus Christ. These were the words which he heard from the mouths.
Yeah.
So this is more reliable to believe than
That's
somebody who came 600
Irenaeus
years later.
writing.
Yeah, but Irenaeus knew Polycarp, he knew Eusebius,
But
he knew Ignatius.
Polycarp, we have Polycarp's writings where Polycarp quotes the other Gospels, but he never quotes the Gospel of John. And Polycarp himself never says he knew John. It's only Irenaeus. But
Polycarp, it says here, isn't it? Polycarp said to you. Yeah, no, it says here, yeah. He says, I seem to hear him now relate how he conversed with John
Yeah.
and many others.
That's
who are
Iranians
seeking Christ.
speaking, yeah.
Iranians wouldn't lie, because these church fathers, the reason why they wouldn't lie, because they pretty much died based on their faith. Why would these church fathers make a lie up, then die for their faith? It doesn't make sense. So what these church fathers said, these were true men of God. They have no motive to lie. And everything, they have everything to lose by lying.
Have you heard of Eusebius, the
Eusebius
church historian?
He was a church father, yes.
So he says it's permissible to lie in order to propagate the gospel. So he's willing to lie in order for the gospel to be spread.
I didn't believe that, because Eusebius pretty much died by faith of preaching the gospel.
Well, you can check that out. It's Yusuf Ishmael in his debate with James White Hastings. Has a studies. Okay, cool.
James White?
Yeah, I hate.
I was watching James White yesterday with Anna Rashid.
I don't hate James White. I just think that he's
Did you
so
see?
bad
Did you see
as
the
a
recent
cowboy.
debate with him and Del Taki?
Oh, that must have been. I haven't seen that. That must
It
have
was last week. But yeah.
I mean, James White is just not indicative of even like Reformed theology. A lot of the Reformed,
James
like,
White, yeah.
so the Reformed theologians, like in their circles, like it's him and Jeff Durbin, and like that's it. But the Reformed theologians, like that are actually good, or not just actually good, but like are indicative of their theology. They don't like James White.
Yeah.
Because James White is a Calvinist, but he rejects divine simplicity, even though Calvin's view has always been divine simplicity.
Really?
And it's like his view of anger is different. It's so weird. Like he's.
I don't know. But check out James White's debate with Yusuf Ishmael. So he quotes the Eusebius quotation. Have you heard of Yusuf Ishmael?
I've heard him, Muslim scholar, isn't he?
He's not a Muslim scholar, but he's a barrister by profession. But yeah, he does Muslim Christian debates and stuff.
That's
So how long have you been a Christian?
probably like 3-4 years. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm still learning. I come to learn. That's why the reason why I came to you, because I thought it'd be good for you to ask me questions, and which if I don't know, I can then go and look on later on. You know what I mean? So it improves my faith. I like to ask scholarly people, those who are quite big.
I'm not a scholar
But you're
myself,
nice to
so
talk to, man.
I'm
Because a lot
learning.
of people,
so-
they will get like they will get kind of loud, and you can't even talk to them. Like, it's alright. You're nice to talk to. I respect you.
Thank you.
But anyway, I'll let you take your fast.
It's okay. I still got a few minutes, so.
No, but
yeah.
I'm gonna get going now. So, just
Oh,
get late.
okay.
But anyway,
Do you
take
think
care.
you'll come again?
Yeah.